All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Into the Megaverse. I'm here with Gaming Megaverse,
Hello, everyone.
and I am the Drunker Hippo. I'm sure all of you know me already. But today we're introducing everyone to our new show slash segment into the Megaverse, where we dive into Palladium Books products and we take a look at them, see what cool things are in there, just so that you guys know what you're getting when you buy these products. So today we're actually going to be going over Rifter 77. So I'm just going to hold that up here. And I have a horrible glare too, apparently. But
It can't be as bad as mine.
yeah. So Rifter 77. What was the date that this one came out on? Do you know? The
Uh,
original. See, I'm going
so,
off the
somewhere in March.
somewhere in March. All right. And we've got some pretty good articles in here. Um, Overall, what I know your favorites, at least, was the um, heroes. I'm sorry, not heroes. Palladium Fantasy, correct?
Yeah. I so you want to go through each article in like the way they're presented, or
Yep, we're
do you want me
definitely.
to? Okay,
Yeah, we're
but
gonna.
yeah, I love the fantasy one because it hits it hits close to what we're doing in Rebuilt, as it is a an article on a city of the Church of Light and Dark. So
Mhm.
I not only liked it, but it's useful to me as a game master currently. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So
Um,
good question, Toko. What is Rifter? Rifter is a quarterly subscription and you can buy these individually as well after
Absolutely.
they've been released. But there is a quarterly subscription where they release a. I wouldn't. They call it a magazine. I would call it like a mini book or a supplemental book. Would probably be closer. Um,
I
Sorry, what was it?
I agree.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that they're very eclectic in that they cover a lot of um, different settings that Palladium offers. So it's not going to be all just Palladium Fantasy. It's not going to be all heroes. It's not going to be After Bomb. It's going to be all those combined, and they dive into certain gaming systems a little more heavily on certain weeks, but or certain issues. But this one seems to be tackling four different ones.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's oftentimes all or at least mostly fan written. So that these are things that people actually submit to Palladium books, and you get a good idea for X system in Palladium. You write it up, you send it in, and you may find yourself in print in the Rifter.
Yep.
And then usually there's at least one official piece of material from someone on Palladium staff, but it's as Hippo said, it runs the gamut. This time we've got a Rifts one, a fantasy one,
It's
a
Splicers.
Splicers one, and a Heroes slash After the Bomb article. So
Slash
they're all
TMNT.
over slash TMNT. So yeah, so all over the Megaverse, as they say.
Oh yeah, and that's what we're doing. We're diving right in. So shall we get to the first article real quick then?
Sure.
All right. So the first article, and we're gonna try not. So someone from Palladium staff is on stream, or is this a talk show about Palladium in D&D category? Actually, I'm officially sponsored by Palladium, or partnered now by Palladium, and we do have Gaming Megaverse, who is a Megaversal ambassador. So
So are you.
Oh, I am too. I guess that's true. I am a Megaversal ambassador as well. So to answer that, Shadzar, no paid staff, but we are affiliated with Palladium, so
Yep.
we can answer some questions very horribly.
Or not so horribly,
or not
depending.
so horribly. Yep. But
Depending.
yeah, we'll try to answer any questions that you got, and we're gonna take a time at the end for anyone that does have any questions. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely do that. The first one, nowhere. It's the article about rifts.
Yes.
So it's very interesting article. With every Palladium write-up that is, I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, this could be used in so many different settings. It doesn't have to be just riffs, and that's the nice thing about this Megaversal system, is that it's so flexible that you can steal it from anything. I'm running and after the bomb game pretty soon coming up here that has a bunch of different other systems it steals from. And this could totally fit in that setting. So
Absolutely.
something to keep in mind here. But I believe the setting in this one is like a mixture of what we would consider Texas and Mexico. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Pecos Badlands are basically the Texas area, North Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that there. And so that's where it kind of where the setting is, but as with anything, and Kevin will say this as well, it's whatever you make of the system. These are just references for you. So if you wanted to put this in anywhere, feel free to do so. But the cool thing was in this,
You could put it on Mars.
yeah, we can. It would be like a stone aqueduct, I assume, right?
Of course, gotta stay with Herbert, you know.
Yeah, it's like, well, instead of like flowing through like liquid form, it would probably be something very similar to like gel if it was going down an aqueduct, I'd assume. It's like molasses. So anyways, a proprietor, I guess you could say, came up with the idea to farm or harvest energy from ley lines and pool that energy, that PPE, or I'm gonna screw this up, psychic potential energy, right?
Yeah. So magic energy
Or potential.
is potential psychic energy.
I got it backwards.
But yeah, it's magic energy that they're pulling from one place and moving it in, well, a pipeline.
Mm-hmm. And
because it's Texas, and you
why
gotta
not,
have a
right?
pipeline in Texas, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it makes total sense, especially for the area. But the interesting thing is that the book says that it doesn't pull that full energy. It pulls some energy, which some is better than nothing. I could see like, oh, you get anything for that can replace your PPE. Heck yeah, I'm gonna mine that. And that's the cool part. But the company that developed these pipelines in the book, in the Rifter here, they created a small town called Nowhere that became a Boomtown, and basically it sprung up as a corporation town with a bunch of different inhabitants around it. And it's like a circular town that almost reminds me a little bit of Final Fantasy VII, in that it's got its little districts with different places of interest within there. I mean, they've even got like a robotic strip club in there. It's like you have to have cyberkinetic enhancements in there to even be a dancer at the strip club, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, there's some definitely very, very cool ideas. The writer in this, who has written other articles for the Rifter before, but he's not a official Palladium freelancer. He's But his stuff is really good. He gets a lot of fun details, as well as your kind of standard, you know, doctor who's this maniacal mad scientist with a rig with all these mechanical rig with all these hands,
And I actually
but
have it right here.
like you said, perfect. But like you said, there's some real cool, fun little details, like the body chop shops or the nightclub, or different things. So there's some really good, cool details.
Yeah.
And it's an original story that hasn't been done before with Rifts in this idea of making a PPE pipeline and moving it around, moving magic energy around, and therefore being able to protect people in areas and have cities sprout up where it was too dangerous to do so, or there was no industry or no reason to be there.
Exactly.
So it's really, really cool.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice because if you wanted to, technically, I guess you could make your entire setting within this city, and it almost feels like this city is free from like the coalition and stuff like that. It almost seems like it's just like a Wild West kind of town. It's got that feel to it where you want a fresh start, where you're not under anyone in particular except for the corporation, of course. Like, go to this town. This is where you get your fresh start, and I think that's pretty cool. Also, the article, especially for this one, offers some key NPCs and locales there. So if you wanted to use those, you can. It also allows you, or I believe it has several different hooks within that. I think almost every article that is in a Rifter has some kind of hook for GMs that need it. But
yeah. And also this one, speaking of hooks, also comes in. Palladium a long time back decided to come up with this thing they call hook, line, and sinkers, which are basically, here's the situation, here's the reason that people will want to go do it, and here's the backstory. And they're just short paragraphs, couple, like 3 paragraphs, and you've got enough to basically run a number of games.
Exactly.
And some of these hook, line, and sinkers are pretty fun.
Yeah. And then you get players like us that don't even, we just avoid the hooks at all costs. We had a GM that tried to run a Rifter once, and we got so off track.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you have to, jump around a little as a GM, but it at least gives you some good thoughts to give you some jumping off point to have a game. So
definitely.
So yeah, I thought this article was really, really good.
Let's go to the next one then. This one was kind of surprisingly, this was my favorite article that was in there, just because it's got some ideas in there that I know I'm gonna use down the road.
Cool.
Whether it's soon, whether it's far away, I'm not gonna give any details because one of my players is in this cast with me. But that's a continuation of the Legion saga for Rifter. I can't remember when the original one was. Was it 72?
71, 72. It was a double issue.
Gotcha. Okay, that's where it was. But this is a continuation of that saga. It's set for the Splicers System, but this could totally be in Rifts. This could totally be in After the Bomb. It could be in Heroes. It could be anything. And the reason I say anything is because I'll get to that later. But basically what the way that I read this is for Legion, it's kind of this parasitic entity that is slowly taking over the world, taking over the universe. And in this edition, you finally get to the end of that hook, line, and sinker, like Gaming Megaverse was talking about, where you finally made it to the big bad guys, the big bad guys. You have your this wasn't mentioned in this one, but it was mentioned in a previous one. There's the collectors, but you also have the Legion crawler, which this thing is massive. I mean, those, if you're seeing this picture here, those are little tiny trees down below. It's I'm trying to read you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, those are big trees that look that tiny comparatively.
Yeah. Exactly. So the players get to take that on if the GM chooses. And
it's 90 feet tall, 80 feet wide, and 230 feet long.
I feel like the 90 feet tall is not correct based on the picture.
Yeah, I agree. I think it should be like 180 feet tall.
That looks like, no, honestly, trees can be 100 feet tall easy. Yeah. I'm guessing that thing's at least 500 feet tall.
Right?
That thing's a beast. That, like, you see that coming down the road, that thing's
coming down the road. You mean coming down the city?
Coming down the country. Yeah, that thing's shaking. You're getting earthquakes when that bad boy comes. But the cool thing is it's like this. The Legion is just as it sounds in almost every other similar, like, popular culture thing, where it's like the we are one, we are many kind of thing. And it's managed by basically a central kind of entity, and you get to figure out what that is. But here's the cool thing is that gave me the vibe almost of, for other people that play video games, Gears of War, or even closer, Kerrigan, for StarCraft. In that, basically this entity almost consumes and takes over people, it seems like. And you can if you wanted to do it in fantasy, you can make it some kind of parasitic form if you wanted to. Make Legion some kind of parasitic entity if you wanted to. Basically, I saw this as a huge, massive jumping off point where you can have some kind of thing that does this, and it will, if you throw this into your game, this will take warring, like, sides and factions, and it'll probably get them to cooperate pretty dang fast. If you throw this in, I guarantee you, like, if it was in fantasy, that Wolfen Empire and the Eastern Territories, they're gonna be like, all right, did we just become best friends? Yup.
Sit down, shut up.
Mm-hmm. It's totally doable. It's roughly 6 feet, 6 trees tall. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. So backtracking just for a moment, this is the Splicers System, the Splicers universe, that it was made for. But again, as Hippo said earlier, you could bring this into a lot of different things.
Definitely. That
would make it work. I mean, I could so definitely see this working in Rifts. I could see it working in Heroes. With very little changes. So I like a lot of it. But Splicers is a book that actually won Game of the Year back in 92, 94, something like that. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Palladium's never done any official full follow-up books, but the game itself is really cool in the fact that it's splicers are a splice of machine and human and animal and all sorts of things. So one of the things that they threw in here was kind of like they made a Hydra type splicer thing.
I looked so hard for a picture of that one. I couldn't find it. I was so sad. but it looked awesome. I can actually, screw it. I'll hold it up. I will. I will hold this picture up for everyone. But I think this would be a very fun one. And like Toko says, I don't know. I think if you beat a threat this big, you're. And here's another great drawing here. Of kind of like the central entity, and so that's kind of where I get the Kerrigan vibe of it. But let's find that Hydra real quick here. Here we go. It's got that mechanical nature as well. But yeah,
that's
cool.
one of them. Yeah, that's one of the other ones.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. But
and Toko summed it up way better than I did. It's humans using alien biotechnology.
Mm-hmm.
And there's machines that have taken over the planet, which is what this series of articles that finishes in Rifter 77 is about, is a specific machine grouping that has taken over a section.
Yeah. For me, I kind of enjoy an organic feel. So I think if you mix the organics and the machines, you'll come out with something pretty fun either way. But yeah. So now
this was your favorite, right?
This was my favorite. I enjoyed
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it will be fun to put into a system, and I think that it could, if things do get out of hand and like wars start happening when they're not supposed to, it's a great way to get everyone back on the same page.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, now let's get to your favorite.
Kamenu.
I'm just gonna sit back and.
Before I move on, the last one was an official material for Splicers, as all of the Legion articles over the last 5-6 Rifters have been. Mm-hmm. And it was written by Chuck Walton, who's a great artist.
Yep, and a lot of these pictures today are his works.
Yep. So I highly recommend his stuff. He's got some great ideas, and he loves Splicers, so it's like his favorite thing to not only write but also to draw. So he draws some really cool nightmarish things.
I'll get his deviant art in chat for everyone to see. Yeah, he's an amazing artist. So Kamenu, talk to me about it.
All right, so Kamenu is first off, this is a fan written piece. Actually, his first piece that he's ever written. His brother had written other ones before. I know these guys. They're in Great Britain, and they're great guys. Met that at a Palladium open house. Anyways, this is a quote unquote city of the 18 cosmic gods. What it basically is a giant, huge necropolis where the god in our game, in Rebuilt, we call him Horus. In this article, they call him Harmarchus, the Great Sphinx. And he comes down, creates a big second sun to inspire people during to help save the city when forces were trying to take it over, even though it was a city of the dark mostly at the time. And he inspired people and saved the city, and at the end of the battle, the sun descended and landed in the city, and ever since then it's been a enormously holy site to not only the people of the dark who look at this big necropolis, and as a saving factor, also the people of the light for Hamarcus or Horus and the Sun Disk. So it's interesting in the fact that it's one of the few Palladium fantasy cities that actually coexist, where dark and light coexist in the same place, and they're not constantly completely at each other's throats
that we know of.
Well, that has been written so far. Now I understand that a second part, oh pardon me, my dogs are barking. There's supposedly going to be a second part of this story in the Rifter 78, the next Rifter. But it does go and detail a lot of the city, the big, the people that the people at the high end of the dark side, the people at the high end of the light side, and they have what's called a mediator that goes in between and keeps the peace, so that neither side wins every single argument, type of thing.
Yeah, and that's definitely good. It was funny because I was reading through it and I was like, "There's so many dark people here."
Yes, but there are a lot of light ones as well. When they go through the NPCs, it's pretty much split when they actually detail out the NPCs.
That's true.
But they go into the detail ahead of that about the fact that this is a necropolis, so there's a lot of and it's huge. I mean, it's the this Rifter says it's got 1.1 million people, which means it's the second largest city in the entire Palladium fantasy world. So it's big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had something cool that I really, really liked. My probably favorite part of it was the fact that it's been around for centuries and centuries. It is a maze, full of alleyways, full of, don't know where the heck you're going. And they have a table where if you fail your navigation roll, you roll on this table and this is where you end up. And I thought it was kind of unique in the fact that it isn't like always bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I think there was one like you find a gem or something.
Yeah, and one where you end up in the Grand Avenue, and then somewhere else where you head into a bunch of kobolds and oops, and it was kind of original in the fact that I felt that it was split pretty evenly, and I thought that was really cool. I liked some of the ideas in it.
Yeah,
and it gave me more ideas to run with for my own game.
I'm just nervous that it's gonna get darker in your game. You're like, guess what? It's all dark.
It's all dark, and you're all gonna die. Well, it is in the Old Kingdom, which in Palladium Fantasy is the Monster Kingdom.
Yeah.
Where people are just basically might makes right and trying to kill everyone. So
it doesn't. Yeah. So what happened to the sun disk or the sun or whatever?
Still there. It's protected. It's a holy site. They say that the city gains anywhere from 250 to another million people during the festival of Hamarcus or Horus.
That's crazy.
And people go to see the sun disk. So
does it light up the city as bright as day every day or every night?
No. It's quote unquote inert.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we should make it reactivated.
I think you might be able to have a chance to.
Oh man. That might be bad though. Everyone burns up. Congratulations, you killed everyone.
So I thought it was pretty cool, and probably why I liked it best is I felt it was very well balanced, and it showed that not every time the Church of Light and Dark has to be against each other. Sometimes they actually work together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Yep.
So last article.
Oh man. Doctor.
The Loose.
Yep. Dr. Farrell is back.
Written by Kevin himself, Kevin Simbita, and who is the owner of Palladium Books, owner and founder. So, but yeah, talk about Doc Farrell.
Oh man. So it Doc Farrell, it talks a little bit about how one, he's good at law apparently, because everything that he gets tried for, he just somehow blames it on someone else and they get arrested and he's innocent. But it's a mad doctor that creates experiments on people and animals, and it originated in After the Bomb.
Actually, it originated all the way in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Why did I say After the Bomb? I knew this. I failed. TMNT. And I believe it was used in After the Bomb, though, as well.
Yep.
And then Heroes.
Yep.
And
so this is officially an article for Heroes Unlimited, but it's very obviously easily put into After the Bomb or TMNT. So and Palladium talks about After the Bomb instead of TMNT nowadays because of the fact that they do not have the license for TMNT anymore. But they did produce the original books, and I don't think any other company has ever picked up the license. So
yeah, I don't think so. I heard someone was saying they wanted to, and then they looked at it and they're like, "Wait, doesn't Palladium still own that?" And then they just kind of they dropped it. But yeah, it's an interesting article. There's a bunch of different hooks in this one without getting into too much detail. They bring back Hopper and the Devil Worm. And you get to, I believe you get to even play them or play with them. And there they are, against the Swarm. The Swarm kind of remind me of, like, Krill, almost, from, like...
That's awesome. I had the same thought. Yeah, the Swarm's pretty cool because they can make duplicates of themselves, and they're total battle rage crazies. You know, they're berserkers basically.
Yeah, and they're almost like insectoid kind of. But the article...
Rhino insectoids.
Yeah. The book does bring 2 new powers that are insect-based. Insect exoskeleton and insect flight, I believe, right?
Yep. And then they're
both minors, too.
Yep.
Oh, and superhuman leaping.
Yep, and regular leaping.
And regular leaping. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 powers.
So
Shame
4 powers.
on me.
Yep. And the reason they did that was because the Devil Worm is joined by a creature named Hopper, and they're supposedly the good guys. So, but yeah, it's fun. It's light. It's back to Doc Farrell. So for those of us that have been playing Palladium Fantasy all the way, or Palladium books all the way back to TMNT, it's like, you know, visiting a friend from childhood. And it's fun. It's enjoyable. It does have some good hooks. I was really glad, Hippo, that you liked it too, because that was neat.
Yeah, I think it'll be like you said, it would be very useful in an After the Bomb setting as well.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't always have to mess with the Swarm or anything. You can just use him as some crazy experimenter.
Yeah. Yeah. Doc Farrell's like so flexible. I love having him around. So.
He's a contortionist. Yeah. So I think we're at the point where if anyone has any questions that they want to ask, feel free to type them in and we'll answer them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, all in all, this was a fun read. I'm excited to see what's next. I feel like I don't want to say what I'm going to use, though, because I do have an upcoming game, and we're going to do our pitches right now a little bit, too, while we wait for those questions. But I know that the commend you is going to be used in the game coming up after this at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Well,
not this
not
game
tonight.
session, but it got rebuilt. And then also we have an upcoming game in a couple weeks to months called Last of Our Kind, which is an After the Bomb hybrid.
I'm hoping for weeks, not months.
1 month at the most, probably. Yeah,
Oh.
it'll be pretty soon. I've been working on it in the background. Just got to get people to make their characters.
Well, Mrs. Megaverse is leaving to London next Saturday, so I'll have almost 2 full weeks alone in the house. So I'll definitely be on more streams and be around more.
All right. All right. Does anyone have any questions before we go then?
We had a couple earlier. I think we got to them. Yep.
Yeah. I think there was one
All right.
earlier
Well, thanks
about
very much.
OPCs, but yeah.
Yep.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our first edition of Into the Megaverse. Go ahead and let us know what you think about that. And then also this will be on the new YouTube when we get that one up here pretty soon here on Gaming Megaverse on YouTube. And just remember to like, comment, and subscribe on there as well. All right, everyone.
Please.
Have a good one.
Enjoy.